The Buddha's teachings, 9 things not to do in life. Listen to the Buddha's words to live in peace and serenity. Human life is short. Do not waste it. Fate often fluctuates. Do not be disheartened. Life is precious. Do not take it lightly. Anger harms yourself. Do not be resentful. Life is meant to be joyful. Do not be sorrowful. Parents merit our gratitude. Do not be unfilial. Marriage is a predestined bond. Do not despise it. Children are close kin, and relationships need nurturing. Do not be calculating. Superstition deceives. Do not fall for it. Desires are boundless. Do not indulge them excessively. Helping others is virtuous. Do not ignore it. Peace of mind is happiness. Do not be swayed by distractions. We should be mindful of what we say, avoiding careless speech that arises in a moment of excitement. One kind word can warm someone through 3 cold winters. One malicious remark can chill a person even in the heat of midday. Therefore, think before speaking. Be especially cautious when dealing with sensitive matters and curb useless talk. Do not let your words make others resent you. In time, you can even transform enemies into friends. As human beings, if we do not cherish values, life becomes as barren as a desert. To love others is to cherish ourselves. Let us extend our love to everyone like the midday sun shining everywhere. The one who is hated does not necessarily feel pain, but the one who hates can never be truly happy. Thus, never harbor resentment toward anyone. Fate is like reading a book. If you do not pay attention, you miss significant and delightful details, but if you scrutinize it too closely, you may tire yourself out. Live sincerely and humbly. Treat others kindly to build your own merit. Nobody is perfect. Life inevitably involves betrayals and unexpected changes, so do not rush to blame or regret. Everyone's life is not easy. Each household has its own circumstances. Each person bears their own sorrow, so never mock anyone's suffering. Respecting others is also respecting yourself. In this world, if you want others to trust you, you must make yourself worthy. If you keep your word, people will want to befriend you. If you are serious and reliable, people will depend on you. If you are truly sincere, life will willingly place its trust in you. Speak when it is appropriate, otherwise remain silent. That is a form of wisdom. Do what should be done wholeheartedly. If not, then withdraw. That is a kind of understanding. Show what ought to be shown clearly. If not, then stay hidden. That is a form of intelligence. You can trust people, but do not rely on them. If you accept responsibility, then commit fully. If not, do not assume it. You walk life's road one step at a time. Love and friendship grow bit by bit, and you write the pages of your life one after another. Nobody has misfortune their entire life. No one lives without pain forever. Just keep a positive mindset and everything will improve. Criticizing others' mistakes means you are already not good. Blaming others' shortcomings reflects poorly on you. Using your own limits to judge others, you will find no one is perfect. Cornering adversaries does not always force them into a dead end, it often traps you instead. Always prying into others' affairs, good or bad, does not make them lose anything, but leaves you with no time to look up or move on. Surveying the vastness of earth and sky, a person too opinionated has no friends. A person too selfish tires only themselves. Only affection can create genuine bonds and offer enough tolerance for the entire world. When you have free time, reflect on your own mistakes. When you are idle, do not gossip about others' affairs. Words may not directly harm your body, but malicious speech is a great offense. Be mindful of your words. Exaggerating stories that do not exist even jokingly should have limits. If you must accuse someone, do not take it to the extreme. Leave some space for kindness. Scolding others, do not be too harsh. Leave room for generosity. Even if you are in the right, do not push things to the limit. Allow a little tolerance and do not be too severe. Leave a way out and accept others for who they are. In so doing, you also give yourself a chance. Having empathy for your surroundings expands your own capacity. A person who is tolerant uses a benevolent heart to interact with life. A truly cultured person shows respect and courtesy in dealing with others, and is considerate, thus deserving of people's care. Only by respecting others can you be respected by the world. Approach everything with a gentle attitude so that your heart naturally becomes calm. Among friends, if you show respect, they will respond with courtesy. If you speak rudely or shout, you will receive anger and disdain in return. Therefore, in life, treat friends with sincerity, treat family with devotion, be tolerant with your loved ones, and forgiving toward your enemies. If you always keep kindness in your heart when dealing with others, eventually they will feel it and reciprocate accordingly. When your mind is filled with good things, your quality of life increases. One's appearance stems from the heart. Circumstances change according to one's mindset. When benevolence in your heart is great enough, it radiates outward and affects your surroundings, yielding satisfactory outcomes. When it rains, remember to retrieve your clothes that are drying. After tears, you may regret what you said in anger. Parents eventually pass on, leaving countless debts of filial devotion unpaid, and all the remembrance in the world cannot bring them back. When dusk falls, you realize you should smile, but by then it is already dark. Once someone is gone, calling their name only echoes in the distant void. Waking up, you realize it was all a dream. Therefore, live fully in every hour of today. Treat people earnestly right now. Otherwise, life will be filled with regret in the future. We live just one lifetime. What do we truly come to understand? Life need not be excessively prosperous or wealthy. It just needs to be meaningful each passing day. Happiness does not arise from comparing yourself to others, but through a gradual cultivation of the heart. Enduring joy does not come from external sources, but from one's inner self. Never judge friendships by wealth. Even if someone is extremely rich, that may have nothing to do with you personally. Do not become anyone's servant simply because of their money. There are people who, although they own only one loaf of bread, are still willing to share half with you. Learn to read people well. Do not wait for others to help you financially. After all, no one has enough money to give away freely. Learn to give. Friends helping each other is a good thing, but if they do not help, that is normal too. No one owes you anything. Train yourself to be independent, resilient, optimistic, and happy. Because ultimately, only you live your own life and face life and death alone. Learn to be strong and not to cling stubbornly to anything. This world does not exist solely for you. The earth does not revolve just for you alone, so do not desperately cling to what you have. At best, we are all just travelers in this mundane world. We arrive with nothing and leave with nothing. Learn to let go. People often say you only realize what you had after you lose it. In truth, you always know what you have, you just think you will never lose it. Make use of every small pleasure in life, because when you look back someday, you will realize how important those little things were. Only when certain moments become memories do we fully appreciate their value. On reflection, you will see that losing some things means you also gain something else. Pain, if you endure it a bit, will pass. Some troubles, if you show patience, can be resolved. Certain conversations, if you endure in silence for a while, no longer require debate. Some relationships, by holding on a little, you might no longer wish to continue anyway. Certain people, if you wait in patience, you might no longer want to wait for. Usually, when you do your utmost, people may not notice. But the moment you stop trying, they pay attention. Sometimes, if heaven does not grant what you desire, it is not because you do not deserve it, but because something better has been set aside for you. A simple life can be a happy one, yet few people find joy. Living too complicatedly only brings misery, yet many live in distress. Often, worries arise because we overthink and hesitate. Therefore, what needs to be picked up, pick it up without delay. What must be let go, release it firmly. End what needs ending to begin what ought to begin. Regardless of how ordinary life may seem, we must face it rather than complain or run away. Time moves on ceaselessly. People come and go in this world. Do not miss the chance to make your life meaningful. Imagine pouring a spoonful of salt into a cup of water. It will be very salty. But pour that same spoonful into a lake, and it is no problem. Our troubles are like salt. Whether our water tastes salty or mild depends on how large our heart is. Happiness comes from feeling content, from a gentle state of mind, and from conscious choices. Even simple tasks, when overcomplicated by too much analysis, can tie you in knots. Conversely, a complicated matter can become easier if we simplify our mindset. Thus, when you face certain issues, just smile, do not take them too seriously. Some people just know who they are. There is no need to bother with them. If they like to show off, then applaud them. Exposing them means nothing. If someone assumes they are always right, then just do not see it, saving yourself from pointless debate. Who you are is not necessarily important to them, nor who they are to you, as long as you remain true to yourself. Follow life's flow. That is the best way. In life, many people, many things, many emotional stages are not meant to be clung to. Just keep smiling and move forward. Be more open-hearted and you learn more. Become more refined and you become more radiant. Become more perceptive and your smile glows with happiness. No one's life is easy. We all taste bitterness and sweetness, joys and sorrows. The ability to turn suffering into something poetic, to transform a cold, loveless world into deep bonds, is a true talent. This world has nothing perfect. Once the sun reaches its zenith, it heads west. Once the moon is fully round, it wanes. Therefore, the loveliest moment is when a flower is not yet fully bloomed, and the moon is not fully round. A slight sense of incompleteness becomes eternal. Imperfection defines the human experience. Everyone chooses their way of life differently. Some consider wealth, children, romance, and triumph as the motivation for living. Others choose gratitude, joy, tolerance, and contentment as their guiding star. Different choices lead to different life outcomes. Acceptance makes everything manageable. A person who knows how to bow their head will not hit the door frame. One who knows how to yield will not get stuck jostling. Those who strive to improve themselves progress quickly, while those who feel content are always fulfilled. In life, the most valuable things are not money, fame, or power, but your inner self, your character and qualities. These reveal a person's moral standing, show if they are trustworthy, and help you see who is good or bad. In living, let us be genuine and sincere, not overly calculating. Excessive plotting only hurts yourself. When working, leave some room for a fallback. When speaking, choose words that preserve decency so you do not back yourself into a corner or bring misfortune upon yourself. The more good deeds you do, the fewer bad ones there will be. The more sincerity is valued, the less deceit appears. The more encouragement is given, the fewer criticisms arise. The more you help, the less you exploit. Choose your words carefully. Even jokes should have limits. A person's life vanishes like morning dew. It dissipates and is gone. Live like water, clear, calm, and deep, and you will have nothing to fear. In life, time is too precious to waste on regret. If you have eaten, then that meal is already done. If you have loved, that love is already part of you. If something is over, there is no need to cling. A person's life is just a journey. Material luxuries are like dewdrops on a morning blossom. We arrive with nothing and we depart with nothing. Gains or losses are irrelevant. Go with the flow and you will be at peace. To one person you may mean nothing, but to another you could be priceless. Recognize your own worth and behave accordingly. Not everyone needs to enter your life. If you meet someone who cares for you, learn gratitude. If it is someone you care for, learn to share. If they do not understand you, practice tolerance. If you do not understand them but are willing to try, you practice empathy. When you can accommodate the unpleasant parts of life, focusing on responsibility rather than personal gain, you reach a higher level of spirituality. When you look ahead with hope, look down with compassion, and look up with gratitude, you reach a higher level of the soul. Life requires not only seeing far and seeing clearly, but also letting things go. Seeing far helps you understand the bigger picture. Seeing clearly lets you realize that people bustle around for fame and leave for profit. Truly letting go does not mean having no desires, but rather maintaining a steady, peaceful mind. A person cannot always change their outer appearance, but they can absolutely alter their inner character. Change your disposition, and your life will follow suit. In your interactions, kindness, warmth, and honesty bring good results. A sincere smile can be far more welcoming than formalities, warming the hearts of those around you. I choose kindness is not because I am foolish. It is because I know that goodness is a human trait. We cannot afford to be cruel, for cruelty will surely return to haunt us. I choose to tolerate is not out of fear, but because yielding a little makes life calmer. Stepping back a little, you find boundless skies and seas. I choose to be forgiving is not out of weakness, but because I believe people should complement each other. I choose silence is not because I lack understanding, but because when faced with unfairness or misunderstandings, it is often better to let go than to dwell on it. Things pass more easily that way. I choose forgiveness is not because I have no principles, but because sparing others also means sparing myself. You do not discard all bonds for a single mistake. I choose honesty is not because I am out of touch, but because I have found that living truthfully is much lighter than hiding behind falsehood. I value loyalty is not from stubbornness, but because I want to share precious time with those friends who cross my path. Being fake or deceitful cannot foster good friendships or yield satisfactory outcomes. Life will inevitably present unpleasant situations, and you will encounter people who are difficult to get along with. If you cannot take things lightly and let them go, you will live in worry and exhaustion. Between people, differences in knowledge, viewpoints, and education can result in different perspectives and ways of handling problems. Thus, conflicts, clashes, or disputes can be normal. At such times, forgiveness becomes an expression of dignity, a cultivation, an umbrella that protects and helps you move forward through stormy weather. Forgiving others may cost you something, a bit of sacrifice, a little generosity, or a small setback, but that is not weakness. It opens a broader, brighter path ahead for you. Life is like the sky. It is not always clear to delight you. Sometimes it darkens and troubles you. Life will not always grant you happiness and good fortune. It sometimes makes you taste all the flavors, bitter, sweet, and everything in between. Therefore, open your heart, learn to forgive, let go of those people and things that trouble you. People often suffer because they attach too much importance to their desires and thus care excessively about others' responses. When demands are not met, sadness ensues. The bigger our greed, the more vulnerable we become, the more benefits we seek, the more calculations we make. The greater our ambition, the more significant our perceived losses. Suffering often stems from greed. If our greed diminishes, others cannot exploit it for their own goals. If we let go of greed, worries find no foothold and vanish, freeing us. Each person has only one life, whether short or long. Day by day, life proceeds, whether sad or happy, and you must keep moving forward. Whether you retreat or advance, no one is perfect. Nothing is entirely satisfactory. If you meet someone petty, do not calculate with them. It will only create more trouble. If you face a complicated issue, do not dwell on it. Overthinking only burdens you. The world is vast, yet the human mind can be fickle and illusions boundless. How can one avoid all annoyances? Think moderately, see things with a broader perspective. When you are misunderstood or feel wronged, stay silent. After it passes, you can smile in relief. If there is no sunlight, listen to the wind and watch the rain. If there are no fresh flowers, breathe in the scent of wild grasses. If there is no applause, enjoy the silence of solitude. Time turns. Years pass. Do not complain or lament. Do not sink into sorrow or scheme in vain. Keep your mind at peace. Tread gently on the path of life. Cherish sincere feelings. Keep a positive mindset. If you lose control, pause and take a deep breath to shift your focus. Face difficulties calmly, change your angle if you must. If you fail, work to rebuild your confidence. Learn to face yourself, be open to the world, and practice forgiving mistakes so that each day passes in peace. Adopt a humble attitude in work and a sincere heart in dealing with others. There is a saying, if the water is too clear, there will be no fish. If one is too critical, there will be no friends. Argue with your family, and though you may win, you lose that closeness. Argue with your partner, and even if you are in the right, affection dwindles. Argue with your friends, and though you might defeat them, the friendship is lost. In arguments, people focus on the logic, forgetting that what is lost is the relationship while the hurt remains in each person. Whatever is black will stay black, and white will be white. Often, it is best to let time and our own sincerity dissolve stubborn attachments, using tolerance to understand people and situations. With a bit more enthusiasm and a bit more calmness, your life will always be sunny, and you will be the true victor. Life is a continual process of self-reflection. Do not expect everyone to understand you, nor hope everything goes your way. Life has no fixed template, so just keep a pure, enthusiastic heart. When troubles come, look for joy within yourself. Do not forget your happiness. No matter how busy you are, leave some room for your own youth and well-being. Do not neglect your health. If you are exhausted, stop and rest. Do not lose your enjoyment of life. As long as you remember your destination and know what you are doing and where you stand, you will not lose your way. Life is too short to dwell on regret. Do not waste even a minute on situations or people that cause you distress. All encounters and farewells have their reasons. Accept them as they come, for that is best. When we were children, happiness was simple. As adults, living simply is itself a kind of happiness. Life is filled with disappointment because we often have excessive expectations. Dreams vanish because they are too grand. We hold too much inside and cannot express it all. Some people are unforgettable because we cannot bear to forget. Others must be forgotten because they are not worth remembering. We tire ourselves out by wavering between holding on and letting go. Sometimes we do understand, but refuse to accept reality in our hearts. Those who enter your life come by karmic ties. Whether they stay or leave depends on your own decisions. Refrain from explaining unnecessarily. It lightens your spirit. Avoid stubbornness. It clarifies your mind. And recognize that imperfection is the real nature of life. No matter how well you live, there will always be people who praise or criticize you. Even if you succeed, others will still comment on it. If some admire you, others will hate you. If some envy you, others will be indifferent. That is just how life is. You cannot please everyone, so do not lose yourself trying to satisfy others. Each of us needs our own principles and self-respect. People's opinions can create many versions of you, but you only need to be the best version of yourself. Not everyone has to like you. As long as you are broad-minded enough to accept the variety of life like a flower blooming in countless hues without being obstructed, live your own way. Treasure who and what is truly worthwhile. Preserve your happiness. Draw near those who make you joyful. Love who moves you. Being a good person can seem easy, but it is not. Touching thousands of hearts or controlling everyone's gossip is definitely difficult. On the other hand, being a good person might not be so hard. Maintain a kind heart, take your own path, and remain upright. Whenever the storms of life appear, remind yourself that, after crossing the region of storms, the sun will appear again. Do not bother lamenting in front of others, for they may not truly care. Some things, once you let go, become lighter. Some people, just remembering them brings happiness. Some pains, once understood, make you stronger. Focusing too obsessively on one problem traps you in a loop. In reality, even simple matters, if overthought, become complicated. Keep a calm mind and an open heart. Everything will be simpler and pass smoothly. A lifetime passes quickly. If you can rise above illusory fame and fortune, you can grasp reality. Complex situations should be resolved calmly, discarding unnecessary burdens so you can move forward with ease. Give way to others to avoid trivial conflicts. Raise your sights to see the rainbow after the storm. Pack your belongings lightly so you can travel the long road comfortably. The most beautiful scenery is not seen with the eyes alone, but felt with the heart. Deep affection need not be spoken, it is recognized through actions. Whenever life disappoints you, remember how water behaves. Gentle and yielding, it silently embraces and transforms all things without contention. If each person cultivated such an attitude, the world would be peaceful and hearts would be at rest. If you see everyone's good points and find meaning in everything, life will be full of joy and the world becomes a wonderful place. If you see the world through the lens of frustration, everything seems like a torment and the world looks ugly and hateful. Many people want to be more beautiful, but the best way to become beautiful is to maintain a serene heart and a joyful spirit. Such a beauty warms others and never provokes dislike. In truth, everything we receive in life is the result of what we have done before, and everything we do now will shape what we receive in the future. Life moves forward in that way. Being aware of this reduces negative thoughts, so we do not complain about heaven and earth when things go wrong. Blessings arise from diligence and a spirit of selflessness. Nurture compassion to help those in need, nurture gratitude to repay kindness, and show reverence to all people and things. If you believe in the law of cause and effect, you will avoid doing regrettable deeds. Always respect others and cultivate tolerance. The vast ocean is boundless because it accepts the waters of 100 rivers. We have two things we cannot avoid doing in life: moving forward and stopping. Are you doing both with a positive attitude? A positive attitude is our best companion, keeping us joyful and healthy. Whether with family or strangers, if we have a bond, we should learn to foster good connections. If one never burns incense except in emergency, clinging to the Buddha's feet at the last minute is pointless. So, understand that building human connections is like depositing money in the bank. The more you save and the longer you save it, the greater the interest will be. When something arises, do not act hastily or jump to conclusions, especially when you are angry. You must place yourself in other people's shoes, strive to minimize problems, and manage big issues in simple ways. Above all, do not make small matters complicated. Cultivate a sense of sufficiency. Much of people's distress comes from unnecessary comparisons. You will always find someone who has less than you and someone who has more. If you complain about not having fancy shoes, think of those who have no feet. If your adversary makes you angry, it means you have not surpassed them. Looking back, it is not worth checking who cursed you, just as if a mad dog bit you, you would not bite back. Hence, do not pay too much attention to malicious comments. Do not see your job as a burden. Instead of grumbling, face it happily and see work as life or an art. That way you will discover its joys. Being alive another day is itself a blessing, so cherish it. Our lifetime is only several decades too short for regrets or doing things that lead to remorse. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Whether you are sad or happy, a day will still pass. If you ignore groundless accusations, your mind will be tranquil. We come into this world with two major events, birth and death. One is already done, leaving only the other, so there is no need to rush. Whatever is destined to come will come, and once it has served its purpose, it will go. Waiting or yearning accomplishes nothing. A wise person does not live by others' words nor fears how they look in others' eyes. They only need to understand themselves, watch both their strengths and weaknesses, and gradually correct them. This is also a form of personal cultivation. The greatest emptiness in life is having no spiritual anchor, not knowing where to turn. Whether or not you are conscious of it or acknowledge it, if your heart contains only goodness, nothing can trouble you. If you are truly kind within, you will not blame anyone. If your way of living is truly simple, no outer chaos can disturb you. Being a good person keeps your body healthy, your mind at peace, and lets you sleep well. Doing good deeds is understood by heaven and earth and respected by spirits. Without doubt, the world would not feel so cold. Without discrimination, the world would not be distant. Without resentment, the sky would always be warm. Without conflicts, the seas would remain calm. True tranquility is not about sitting motionless for hours, but rather using a calm mindset to observe all things, to hear even the sounds of flowers and grasses growing. Lasting peace arises from within. Searching for it outside, you will never find it. People struggle throughout life, working ceaselessly, yet they cannot take even a blade of grass with them when they die, nor can they bring along any fleeting fame. Once born, whether wealthy or poor, at the end of life, each must say goodbye. A lifetime is truly short. Many vow to live 100 years, but can pass away in a single moment. You may think you are only parting temporarily, then suddenly realize you have parted forever into different realms. Therefore, while you still have the chance, do not create regrets, do not overthink, do not overfocus, do not ask for too much. In being human, having little money is fine, but do not let your spirit become poor. Do not let a lack of money narrow your vision. Even if you cannot attain riches, at least be a person of value. In being human, perhaps your appearance is unremarkable, but do not let your soul become ugly. Compassion and kindness come from within, not from outer looks. You may be physically small, but do not let your heart be petty. No one likes a narrow-minded person. Even if your frame is slight, a kind heart can bring comfort and warmth to countless others. In being human, you can be physically weak, but do not let your mind be feeble. The weak often feel pessimistic or inferior, so you must develop courage, self-determination, and self-confidence. You might be slow with your hands or eyes, but do not let your mind become clouded. Always remind yourself to keep a clear heart and a discerning mind. You can be a bit tough in life, but do not become so domineering that you turn into a ruthless person. If not you, then who would end up in hell? It is okay to be smart, but do not assume you are the most brilliant while everyone else is foolish. Otherwise, you become the lone, ignorant one. In being human, a little laziness may be acceptable, but do not become a person who lazes around all day. Commit to the tasks you need to do. Contribute what you can, so as not to be a social parasite. Frugality is fine, but do not be overly money-minded, or you will start weighing people by their wealth and eventually become a slave to money. Being tolerant is good, but do not let others belittle or exploit your tolerance by persisting in their errors. Always keep your boundaries and self-respect. Struggle and hardship are part of life, but do not allow perpetual misery without a way out. Learn to pick yourself up. Some things, once they happen, you can only accept. Some people, once gone, you can only let go. Some paths chosen can only be followed through. Many good things come from patience, not from scrambling. Cultivate patience if you do not wish to miss your happiness. Enjoy each small event in life, because tomorrow, looking back, you will realize each was important. Many things become treasured memories only after the fact. If there is truly a connection, distance and time are not barriers. If there is no bond, even being together leads to different paths. Perhaps a person must walk many roads, experience both prosperity and hardship to truly grow. If you see through someone but remain silent, you understand forgiveness. If you dislike them but remain cordial, you realize the peak of respect. Maturity is not about living longer, traveling everywhere, or encountering myriad things. It is about knowing when to let go or show mercy to reduce struggles. Everyone carries a certain amount of pain in their heart. It is not that it no longer hurts, but that there is no point in complaining. It only weakens oneself. Maturity is the ability to keep smiling as you transform suffering into happiness. No matter how dire your situation, be courageous. Do not think of escaping or cursing your lot. Life does not necessarily work out the way you wish. The sun will still rise whether or not you are joyful. It will not stall for your displeasure. Covering your eyes does not turn the world dark. Making others blind does not make the light yours alone. In this world, only dull blades exist, but there is no tree that cannot be felled. In work, there are only methods not yet thought of. There is nothing that absolutely cannot be done. If you want something, you find a way. If you do not, you find an excuse. The root of happiness is how we view people and events in our life. Cultivate certain modes of thinking to build a life of enduring peace and contentment. Inevitably, you will be criticized or mocked for your flaws. Instead of feeling offended, learn to laugh at your imperfections. This shows you are secure in your imperfect perfection. Only by acknowledging your flaws can you improve. It is natural that your opinions may differ from others. You do not need to change if your belief is not harmful to yourself or others, and if your conscience is clear. Some people are more favored by life. That is nobody's fault. We must accept this unfairness. Life is inherently unequal. Keep striving every day, aiming for your goals. If you do not reach your ideal destination, at least you have moved beyond where you started. Also understand you will never have everything you want. Each stage of life brings new desires. Even once you have obtained one wish, you will just want another. The key is to learn contentment to reduce daily stress. We all must choose what to do and not do. Think carefully to avoid wasting time on pointless pursuits. Some people may achieve quick success using unscrupulous methods, but only those who choose to be good can endure in the long run. Be a good person, even if life treats you harshly. Being good allows you to sleep soundly at night, never fearing your misdeeds will be exposed. If you wait for others to bring you happiness, prepare for disappointment. Love life and love people without expectations. Only then can you remain at peace. Sometimes, in the face of impermanence, we feel like we might collapse. But if we absorb the philosophy of dependent origination, we realize that we have long enjoyed life's many gifts. Now, life reclaims a small share to give to others that is only natural. There is nothing bitter about it. Where there is success, there will be failure. Where there is union, there will be separation. Yet most people do not want to fail. Human suffering arises from wanting permanence, while life by its nature is impermanent. Moreover, some people disregard others' pain for their own gain and happiness, so one person's victory or joy often contains another's loss or sorrow. But there is no need to dwell on the negative side of the world. Its nature is like that. Knowing how to let go and actually letting go brings peace to the heart. All suffering and happiness originate in our own minds, and they also dissolve there. Thus, how your mind is shaped determines how you feel about your life. Destiny arises from within. When you choose a path, you decide your fate. Do not be too attached to the past. Live fully in the present and look toward the future. Do so, and tomorrow will surely be brighter. Sometimes, confronting the ravages of impermanence can feel like collapse. Yet, if we deeply understand the doctrine of interdependence, we see that for a long time we have been receiving countless gifts from the universe. Now the universe takes them back to redistribute. That is only natural, not a cause for bitterness. Where there is formation, there is destruction. Where there is union, there is separation. Yet most of us never want to lose. We suffer because we seek permanence when all things are impermanent. Furthermore, some people cause pain to others for their own gain or pleasure, so within one person's joy hides another's sorrow. That is simply the nature of this world. If we know how to let go and truly let go, we find peace. Suffering and happiness come from our mind and end there. Therefore, our mindset determines how we experience our lives. Destiny is shaped by our inner self. The moment you choose one path, you shape your fate. Do not dwell on the past. Live fully now and face the future. By doing so, your tomorrow will surely be more beautiful.